Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? So I'm doing part two now of my real estate talk. It's when I was waiting for my now connected Insta360 link camera. And it finally came in towards the end of the day, but I took the opportunity that morning, or this morning here, to talk about real estate and just give basic tips, basic ideas. I'm introducing somewhat of the information of the broker that I work with. So just in case anybody locally in the Dayton, Ohio area would want to start real estate or is in real estate and sees this somehow, and they're thinking about switching to another brokerage. I hope they pay attention to the things I have to say. Go to part one, talking about it a little bit there, and then here part two, I'm going a little deeper. Not too much. Like I said, I'm doing just basic stuff. And I think that what I have to say is it's basic, but it's important. And I'm going to be dividing it into I think 3 or 4 parts, depending on how lengthy it is. So hope you guys enjoy. Let's talk about a little bit more about real estate. Let's get to it. Now, I do residential as well, but I also do commercial. And in commercial, there's a $15,000 cap. You pay only up to $15,000, and after that, the rest of it is yours. But the split there is different. They keep 15%, and I keep 85% until I pay the $15,000. And the reason why that's much higher is because commercial transactions are larger. So I don't walk away with $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a commission. If I ever get to close one, I can walk away with $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 because they're much, much larger. You're talking about way bigger properties that are being sold, and they take longer, much longer to sell. And the negotiations that go back and forth are more detailed than it is in residential. But even with those kind of commission splits with Red One, and no matter how excellent they are, I still have a $32 a month fee that I have to pay a month. I know it's a broker fee that I have to pay, that I think that they have to cover for whatever they pay the board, and then they recoup through the agent, which again, it's fine. But every brokerage has their fees you have to pay. The board of real estate, wherever you live, you have to pay them too. You have to pay for the MLS. And some brokerages, not the one I'm in, but some brokerages, you have to pay for the software that's being used to register your commission. You have to pay for the software being used in order to get listings, leads for those listings. And then they'll tell you, like there was this one company I was with, they'll tell you that you also, part of those fees are legal fees, because if at any time something goes wrong, you're going to need an attorney. If you miss something and then that one of the clients, buyer or seller, decides to sue you, then you need to have an attorney to represent you. Well, you're paying into that, but they don't have it. That one brokerage lied, and the legal side does not exist. So you have to really do your research when you find a brokerage. The reason why is because if you're going for your real estate license, you have to have what's called a sponsor. A sponsor is the brokerage that will take you on once you pass your test. Once you pass your test, then you go straight to that brokerage and work with them. Okay. Most brokerages want you to stay with them for a year before you think about going somewhere else. You really don't have to, but it's kind of like courtesy, professional courtesy. It is a very cutthroat type of industry with the very, very, very little money we had and the very, very little amount of support that I had. And I'm talking about in the industry, not at home. I had full support at home, but in the industry. When I first started, this was in 2017, I actually made it out of the statistic that says that the majority, and I think it is 85%, I think it is 85% of all new real estate agents that come into the industry before their third year, they're out. They will let their license go back to the state and they're out. They don't make it. So I started in 2017. I'm in 2023. I think that's 5 years. So I've made it out of that statistic, luckily. It wasn't easy. It was not easy. There was a lot of mistakes made. There was a lot of people trusted that helped us lose money. There was a lot of people trusted that there was a lot of transactions that were lost. But we kept going. We kept going to where we're at now. And luckily, I walked into a brokerage in where I'm. Sorry, that was a weird sound. I walked into a brokerage in where they're actually interested in the success. And of course, the managing brokers are interested in your personal success and everything. And the upper people are interested because if you succeed, they succeed. And that's only fair. But they don't do it maliciously like other brokerages that I was in. Not all of them. Some of them are, God, it's crazy. They can be very, very, very cutthroat. So whoever is listening to this, or whenever you listen to this, as I'm stalling for time to get my package, my new webcam. I think trying to see here, 10:36. All right. So if you're ever thinking about going into real estate can be rewarding. It can be pretty successful, but at the same time, you're walking into a 50-50 type of opportunity. 50%, you're going to hit the lottery and just go. Excuse me. Or 50%, you're never going to get traction, and you're going to try and spend money, and just keep going down until you have to realize, nope, you can't. My wife says, your best bet is to find a partner that is 100% supportive of you and knows someone who has a professional camera. That's true. Because you can't just that's one of the things of the industry, especially here in ours. I don't know how it is in other places. I've learned it in other cities north here in Ohio. They don't care how you take the photos as long as they're clear. But here in the Dayton Board of Realtors, they tell you you cannot use iPhone photos of to take photos of properties. You can't use iPhone photos or any kind of cell phone or anything like that. They have to be professional grade. And the thing you have to understand is, well, how would they know? They'll never know. It's clear. I mean, look at some of these cameras. I mean, I have, it's older now, but I have the 12 Max Pro iPhone, and it takes amazing photos. If you know how to tweak it and all that, it takes super clear photos. But the thing about it, though, is here's, I'm going to get off camera real quick. Here's the difference. iPhone camera, this is my wife's camera, Nikon D610. Okay, it's a professional DSLR, I forget, DLSR or DSLR, mirrorless camera, professional grade, right? Because my wife, she's the photographer, and I'm sure that she'll put it up there. That's the correct information. There you go, DLSR, Nikon D610. So the difference between the two is this one here doesn't stop at 12 pixels, which is about the standard high pixels in your iPhone. This has what's called raw photos, and the pixelations on this are like super, super high. And then you have to download it onto your computer, have a software, whether Photoshop or any other kind of software, to make sure you make some corrections in your lightings and all that. And she can tell you left and right on all you have to do for it. And then once you have that done, then you upload it into your listing. Okay. You can't do that with the iPhone. The iPhone, when you take it, that's what it is. Saying that is both cameras have the one same feature, okay, which is what's called metadata. The metadata is all of the information of each photograph is digitally marked within the file of that photo. Okay, so some people are smart enough to go in and look at the metadata that is left inside the photograph and check where that originated from. And it'll tell you when it was taken, where it was taken. Well, not necessarily exact, but unless you have an actual app for that. But it will tell you, region, Dayton, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, whichever. And then it'll tell you what the pixelation is, and then what was the camera used, because it'll give you that registration. So it'll tell you iPhone 12 Max Pro, 12 pixels, date, time, all of that. So they'll know exactly what you used. And then here in our board, me as an agent, I can get fined for uploading it. They do have this one feature on the website where you try to upload an iPhone photo. It'll give you a nice little warning that says that the pixelation is too small and file is incorrect. And then it gives you the option to proceed. So at that point, you would be the idiot if you hit proceed, because then you hit proceed, and then when you go to submit the information, it flags that, and then they tell you go in there and change that, or you're in trouble. That's me summarizing it because it's a long, giant paragraph. And so it's harder than what it is, and what she's saying is correct, because if you have somebody that's 100% on your side, ready to withstand all of the problems that you're going to face in real estate and how long you're going to have to wait, and then need that kind of equipment. If you don't have that, you're going to see yourself spending more money trying to set yourself up and then trying to find a support group that'll help you through all that. You're going to find more time in that than you are doing work. Now, mind you, here's one other thing that I would like to say. Some people do have the knack to just come into something and go into success. And I just had the recent example of this. There's a young new agent that just came into our brokerage, and when they started, and they came in, started single parent, all that stuff, and boom, she started getting hit with this opportunity, this opportunity, this opportunity, minor stuff, like I told you, bottom feeder kind of stuff, but they were getting them anyway. As into I'm still digging through the trenches trying to find stuff. Some people come in with that kind of community in where they're looking left and right and people are throwing them stuff. And then you find others, like myself, where you don't have that kind of community. You have to build that community. So you have to have the tenacity to keep going regardless of the success of everybody else around you or the failures of everybody else around you. You got to count those as your own, as in whatever success you have is your own, whatever failure you have is your own, and you don't judge yourself by what's happening to somebody else. Or else, life's over. Because you'll never either come up to the standards of whatever somebody else is going through, or you'll feel like, golly, this other person has a very low bar over here, and I'm still lower than that. And yeah, you can't do that. You don't want to do that, especially in this industry. You want to make sure that you're well-founded, that you're in a place mentally where you can do this industry, because it takes a lot of patience, a lot of resolve, a lot of dedication. And then, like my wife said, you have to have somebody that's 100% supportive, because there's going to be times where you're going to have to go out and just drive around, try to, find things, or be in your office and day in and day out, digging through emails, messaging people, emailing people, going through websites to try to find opportunities here and there. Because for some of us, it doesn't come easy. So you have to do that. And for others, it may come easier, but they still have to work. So, but then that's on them. You do your own thing and try to find your own path in it. But that's the real estate side. And to tie it into what I was talking earlier, I have yet to check if Phi Theta Kappa has anything to help those that graduated with 1 degree and are doing something completely different. I still use the things that I learned in college. I still use most of not all, but most of those things in order to get some of my stuff done, whether here streaming or in other areas, real estate and whatnot. I know how to put together letterheads and logos, and different type of documentations. It helped me to do that. It helps me here in stream, because once I'm done here and I have to take it, not have to, but then take it to YouTube, then in YouTube you have to have your thumbnails, So at least I know how to put together the thumbnails, because that's part of design. You don't want it too crowded, as in busy and all that you don't know what you're looking at, but you don't want it too simplified either, because you still want to let the people know what's coming. But yet eye-catching, that it'll catch the attention of people. So yeah, I mean that's the real estate. So if you want to, get into real estate and want to have some advice, get a hold of me. Again, that's my name, Redden is the gaming realtor. Um, Find me either here, YouTube, whichever, and ask questions before you get in there, because you just don't want to jump in. This is not an industry like in sales or insurance, like selling insurance, stuff like that. You just can't jump into it just because you want to jump into it. No, this is not it. Retail, you can just jump into retail and you'll learn along the way and real quick, and you can perfect your skill. And if you don't perfect your skill, it still doesn't matter because you can still earn your money. This isn't food industry, whether sit down food industry or fast food, where you don't really have to have any skills except for your common sense respect. You can respect the customer, and to a certain degree, of course. Um, you don't need skill, total deep skill for that. In this industry, you need multiple levels of skills and of ability of understanding. There's a certain term that's called learning curve. To those that don't know, a learning curve is the amount of time that it takes you to learn whatever that position is. So that curve is that bend that you have to follow as you're learning. You're fresh here, even if you're fresh out of college and you've studied it, it's different than when you're actually doing it. And that learning curve is you start straight up in whatever knowledge you have. And as you're learning, you're bending into the industry so you can then max out as best as you can in that. This has a pretty steep learning curve. You learn quite a bit in college to get yourself ready and take the test. But once you get into the field, then it takes a pretty good while to get right over that curve to max out and get you into that position you need to be. So I would say you have to prepare yourself for that. If you don't have people skills, this isn't the one for you. If you don't have patience, this isn't the one for you. If you don't have an open mind to learn new things, this isn't the one for you. If you don't have a strong backbone to stand up to people that don't know what they're talking about, and you do, and you have to stand up to them to correct them, this is not the one for you. And the reason why I say that is because I had to strengthen my backbone to get to that. Because I was a pretty pathetic people pleaser. Yes sir, yes ma'am, yes, 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 and however made them happy. And then I had to learn, well, I'm losing money too, because as I'm saying yes to everybody else, and instead of saying no, I'm losing money. And that's the income that doesn't come into my family and takes care of my family. I'm helping them take care of themselves, nothing for me. So I had to strengthen my backbone to get to that point of saying, you know what? No, we're not doing that. That's not the way that this is going to be done. This is the way. So if you can't already have a backbone or strengthen your backbone, this is not the one for you. If you can't retain information, this is not the one for you. Real estate, you have to retain that information. Even though it's repetition, the more you do it, the better or the easier it becomes. That's good for the documentation you're going to have to do. But yeah, repetition really doesn't take the place of being able to be understanding of the information that you're constantly getting. Each transaction is not the same. The documentation is, but the people you're dealing with are not the same. Because you can go from a very, very informative, just basic buyer of a house, and they've researched everything about it, and they know as much or sometimes more than you do, and they can tell you, hey, that's that's not the way it is. I thought it was this. And then you have to look into it. Oh, man, they were right. I was wrong. And you have to own that. And then you correct it. You go from that kind of informative type of client to the very high and mighty, uneducated, arrogant type of client that know everything and then screw you over for thousands of dollars. And I was just in one over a year and waiting for the closing of that transaction, because the client, oh yeah, we know what we're doing. Yeah, we got the money for it. Yeah, we can. And then at the end, their whole knowledge base had gone out the window, and it turned out that they really didn't know, and they canceled the contract. So when you see, $8,000-$10,000 just fly out the window, it's very discouraging. Very, very discouraging. Unfortunately for that one, I wasn't the lead agent for it, because sometimes you can get into a team of 2, 3, or 4 or more people handling one thing. So I wasn't the team leader for that one. Because for me personally, there would be different ways that I could have handled that. That would have probably saved us the year in waiting. But that's in the past. There's nothing really you can do about it. Hence, another thing that you would have to learn is to learn and let go. Learn and let go. Water off a duck's back. Just let it just go. So, kind of like when you're playing games, when you're playing anything on a video game, because this is mostly on Twitch here. When you're playing a game, and let's say you're playing Fortnite and you're on a streak, and you're bam, 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 and then you make one little mistake that puts you in a position you don't want to be in, one of the builds that you have, and somebody down here snipes you, and you're gone, and there goes all your stuff, and you're just done. You can't sit there and whine, complain, and everything else about, how dare they? Why did they kill me? I was right there. It was just me and them, and da da da, and they point fingers and all that stuff. No, what do? You lost it. Wait for the next one, and you jump back in, and then you make sure that you learn from your mistake and don't do that again, and then you may win the next one. Now, I'm going off of that of watching my youngest son, Josh, play Fortnite. I have Fortnite loaded on my Switch, the Battle Royale, but I haven't personally played it because I suck at shooter games. My thumb, for some reason, just goes too far over, so instead of me following the target, I'm like, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Tying that into what I've been talking about real estate is, I can't stay and complain about that one transaction. It's all over, everything's done. I hate real estate. I'm never doing real estate again. Can't do it. Got to learn from it. And what did I learn from it? Try to get as much information about your client as you possibly can. Not only will that help you on how to deal with what they're trying to buy or what they're trying to sell, but it'll help you understand what kind of client they are. This is real estate. And real estate, besides marriage to another person, real estate is one of the biggest investment decisions anyone can make, either as a company or as a single person. Well, thank you to everyone for sticking around. I'm just talking about real estate and giving you some basic pointers on if you want to start real estate. Of course, putting in a plug on my broker in brokerage, Red One Realty, here in the Dayton, Ohio area. Actually, they're out of Columbus, Ohio. They're also in Florida. So if you're in Florida or here in Ohio, that would be a brokerage to consider if you're going into real estate. I got another part coming after this one, but definitely hitting on some points that are important and interesting, and I think that are useful, especially for the time and age that we're in now. As you can see, my setup is much different um, to most of the realtors out there. So, and I'm going to try to incorporate that into a lot of what I do because times are changing, and the new generation coming up is going to need someone that understands them. So, hopefully, I stay right on that wave, and maybe you can come along with me too. So, thank you for allowing me to be here. And can you please give me a subscribe, a follow, a like, a comment, anything like that? I would greatly appreciate it. Um, as of now, thanks for being here, and hope to see you on the next one. Bye.